Hello everyone. How are you all? Okay, today we will be learning the second chapter of your history part 1. The topic of the chapter is kings, farmers and towns. Early states and economies. The history of kings, farmers and towns began from circa 600 BCE to 600 CE. So during this period, there were several developments in different parts of Indian subcontinent during the long span of 1500 years. The historians are also of the view that this period, that is 6th century BC, as a turning point of early Indian history. Why? Because several developments took place during this period. That is why the historians were of the view that 6th century BC as a turning point in early Indian history. Now we will discuss some of the development that had taken place during this period, especially in India. It was during this period that the most important book, Rig Veda, was composed by the people living along the river Indus and its tributaries. And it was also during this period that agricultural settlement emerged in different parts of Indian subcontinent, like especially in North India, Deccan Plateau and some parts of Karnataka. Then it was also during this period that new modes of disposal of debt began, and making of an elaborate stone structure known as megalith emerged in India during this period. The dead person were buried along with wide range of iron tools and weapons. This period also shows the rise of many new kingdoms and towns. And most of the towns were the capital of early states. This period also saw the extensive use of iron tools. Many schools of thoughts also emerged during this period, including Jainism and Buddhism. And it was also during this period the Brahmanas started the composition of the earliest Sanskrit text, Dharma Sutras. Okay, these were the development, some few important development that emerged, that developed during this period of time. This chapter opened up with the topic Princeps and Piyadasi. Who were these men, Princeps and Piyadasi? Okay, Princeps was an officer who worked in the mint of East India Company. He was the man who first deciphered the Kharosthi and Brahmi script, the script mostly used in inscription and coins in early part of the history. With the deciphering of Kharosthi and Brahmi script, the history of this period was brought to light, especially the reign of the Mauryan was brought to light. Princeps also found out that in many of these inscriptions had mentioned about Piyadasi. What is this Piyadasi? Piyadasi means pleasant to behold. And Piyadasi was always addressed to a king. Even the Jaina and Buddhist text had mentioned a king as Devanam Piyadasi. So who was this Piyadasi or Devanam Piyadasi? Piyadasi and Devanam Piyadasi was the title used for King Asoka. So in many of his inscriptions, he was addressed as Piyadasi or Devanam Piyadasi. Let us go to the next topic. The next topic is about earliest states. According to Jaina and Buddhist text, there emerged as much as 16 states known as Mahajanapadas. Mahajanapadas. How many Mahajanapadas? 16 Mahajanapadas. Maha means big. Jana means people. Padas means the place where people live, which means a big place where people live. Mahajanapadas. So by 6th century BC, 16 Mahajanapadas came into being. And among the 16 Mahajanapadas, 7 of them were frequently mentioned in different sources. Why? Maybe because these 7 states were the most important states during 6th century BC, which include Vaji, Magadh, Kosala, Kuru, Gandhara, Panchala, and Avanti. So among the 16 states, the most important states were Vaji, Magadh, Kosala, Kuru, Gandhara, Panchala, and Avanti. These states were ruled by kings. Among them, some Ganas and Sanghas were also ruled by oligarchies. Each of these Mahajanapadas, each of these states had its own capital, usually fortified. Now we will talk not all this, but one of the most important Mahajanapada, Magadh. Magadh, among the 16 states, Magadh became the most powerful state. There were many reasons for this. So now we will discuss some of the factors that led to the rise of Magadh. So we will discuss some few factors that led to the rise of Magadh. The first factor fertility of soil. The region in Magadh was very fertile, thereby yielding a very rich harvest every year. As a result, Magadh became economically prosperous. The second factor that led to the rise of Magadh extensive use of iron. The state of Magadh was accessible to the iron mines, and these irons were used in making tools and weapons. The third factor that contributed to the rise of Magadh rich natural resources was another factor that led to the rise of Magadh. The forest of Magadh had plenty of elephant, and these elephant were some of the very important component of army. That means elephant were used in battle. So the Magadhan army can be equipped with different discipline of army. River Ganga and its tributaries also played a very, very important role in providing an efficient and cheap means of transport and communication all over the Magadhan Empire. The most important factor that had led to the rise of Magadh was one of the most important factors for the rise of Magadh was powerful kings. Magadh was once ruled by very strong and ambitious kings like Bimbisara, Ajatasattu, and Mahapadmananda. So under the rule of these earliest kings, Magadhan rose to power, more powerful than other 15 states. Now, we will go to our next topic. The next topic is about earliest empire. The growth of Magadh culminated in the rise of one of the earliest empire in India. The earliest empire in India was that of Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya in the year 321 BCE. And he extended the Mauryan Empire as far as Afghanistan and Balochistan. His grandson, the famous ruler in ancient India, Asoka, also extended the empire by defeating the king of Kaling in the Battle of Kalinga. Next, we will be talking about the main sources of the history of the Mauryan Empire. The main source of information of the history of Mauryan Empire includes Indica, a book name called Indica, written by Megasthenes. This book, Indica, was written by Megasthenes. Who was this Megasthenes? Megasthenes was an ambassador to the court of Chandragupta Maurya, a Greek ambassador to the court of Chandragupta Maurya, sent by the Seleucus Nicator. So when he came to India, he had written his account of the experiences that he had encountered here in India. So his experiences were noted down in the book Indica, and this Indica played a very important role in providing the information of the Mauryan Empire. The second important source of the history of the Mauryan Empire include Arthashastra, written by Kautilya. Also popularly known as Chanakya. He was the minister in the court of Chandragupta Maurya. Another source of the history of Mauryan Empire includes a book named Mudra Rakshasa, written by Vishakha Datta. So this book gives us the history of the early life of Chandragupta Maurya. Later on, the Jaina and Buddhist text also provide us the history of the Mauryan Empire. Most importantly, inscriptions. Inscriptions. The study of inscription is known as epigraphy. So there are people who study the early inscription. They were known as epigrapher. And these inscriptions, especially Asokan inscriptions, played a very, very important role in providing us the information about the history of the Mauryan. Okay, next we will talk about Asukas Dharma. In short, we can say as Asoka's code of law. Asoka used his inscription to proclaim what he understood as his dharma. Some of the important dharma includes respect your elders and teachers, generosity towards brahmanas and those who had renounced the worldly lives, treating the slaves and servants kindly, respecting the religion and tradition other than one's own. According to him, following his dhamma would ensure the well-being of the people in this world. So, to spread the message of dhamma, he appointed a very special officer known as Dhamma Mahamatas. So one important question can be asked here. Who were Dhamma Mahamatas? You will answer, Dhamma Mahamatas were the special officer appointed by King Asoka to spread the message of his Dhamma. Now, let us go to our next topic, that is administration. Administration of the Mauryan Empire. For better administrative purpose, the whole Mauryan Empire was divided into 5 major political centers, with its capital at Pataliputra, was the capital of the central province of Mauryan Empire. Patliputra is the present-day Patna, the capital of Bihar. The other four capitals of the provincial centers includes the capitals of the other four provincial centers were Ujjaini, Tosali, Suvarnagiri, and Taxila. These capitals were wisely chosen to be the capital of the provincial centers. Why? Because these cities were located on a very important long distance trade route. For example, like Taxila, Tosali, Ujjaini were located on the important land routes as well as sea routes. Suvarnagiri was very important for tapping the gold mines in the state of Karnataka for Mauryan Empire. So like that, these four cities were chosen to be the capital of the provincial centers. Communication along both the riverine routes and land routes play a vital role for the existence of the Mauryan Empire. The river Ganga and its tributaries play a very important role in providing a cheap and best means of communication. That's all for today. We will continue this chapter, that is the second half of this chapter, in our next video. Till then, stay safe, stay strong. Bye-bye.